Dawntrail is finally only a few months away, so a very obvious question to ask is, what should I do to be as ready as I can be? And that is exactly what this guide is intended to answer. To give the short answer, obviously you don't have to prepare anything. If you'd rather take things as they come, then do that. With that said, this video will go over the prep you need to get at the MSQ as soon as possible, how to prepare for Viper and Pictomancer, how to prepare as a raider, and anything extra you can do that can make things a bit faster still. Now, let's start with Section 1. Ready for main scenario quest. If you want to start Dawntrail's main scenario quest immediately, then you should make sure to have completed all of the existing main scenario quest, obviously, which ends with the quest The Coming Dawn. And it is almost 100% certain that whatever the first Dawntrail MSQ is, it will start from either Ojika Tunjika himself or from someone in the same room, so this is of course the perfect place to log out for the last time before Dawntrail releases. Next up, to actually play the new Dawntrail content, you will need to have actually purchased Dawntrail. And if you do so before it releases, you get to start a few days sooner as well. On top of this, you also get Azema's earrings, which can be immensely helpful for leveling jobs to 90 now or in the future. These earrings both scale with your level all the way to 90 and give a 30% XP boost from fighting mobs, again up to level 90. Now, in most cases, you probably already have whatever job you plan to play through the MSQ with at max level at this point. But on the off chance that you haven't, that should be the next step on the list. Level up the job or jobs you want to use for the MSQ. For that, I have a separate leveling guide for leveling your jobs in an efficient manner that also offers ways to speed it up if you need to. Link in the description. Before we move on, one important detail that can be easily missed is rested XP. This is accumulated by simply being logged out in a city or safe area, indicated by this moon icon next to your XP bar. It takes around a week to fully accumulate, so whatever leveling you plan to do, it may be beneficial to finish it and put down your pencils around a week before Dawntrail to let it accumulate, in case you want to have this rested XP for either leveling past 90 more easily, or leveling Viper and or Pictomancer. Speaking of which, Section 2, Viper and Pictomancer prep. So when Dawntrail releases, Viper and Pictomancer will be available to unlock, and they both start at level 80. Traditionally, jobs like this are unlocked alongside an okay level appropriate armor set with a weapon. This means that you will not be given accessories. It is known that Viper will be sharing equipment with Ninja and Pictomancer with casters, so one way you can prepare these jobs is to make sure to acquire Crypt Lurker necklaces, bracelets and 2 rings for each, of scouting and of casting. You will not need an earring as the Azema one will be the best option for you anyway. Once this minimum has been acquired, you can invest further poetics into getting Crypt Lurker armor sets, again of scouting and of casting. If you already have a blue mage at level 80, geared and ready with Crypt Lurker gear, then that of course already covers Pictomancer. Your target is to have a full armor set and everything except earrings for scouting and casting. If you plan specifically to power level these 2 jobs at the very start, it may also be helpful to start collecting some decent level 90 gear for them. The easiest options here are augmented crafted gear, which you can acquire by first trading in crafted Diadochos gear, preferably high quality, to Rashti and Razatan, and buy Rain with Tomestones of Causality. Then you can purchase I-650 augmented crafted gear. Going further than that, without Savage raiding, you can acquire a nearly full set of I-660 gear with the weekly Tomestones, and upgrade them either through Hunt Trains or Alliance raid coins. It is worth mentioning here that once Dawntrail comes out, this kind of I-660 gear should be purchasable for poetics in the same way the Crypt Lurker gear is, so you shouldn't run yourself ragged doing this part of preparation. Building further on this, there are also things you can do specifically in the time just before the release of Dawntrail. To start, the Wondrous Tales journals can be kept around for 2 weeks after you pick one up, but you can only pick one up per week. This means that if I pick up a journal this week and keep it until next week, I can hand it in and immediately grab another journal, complete that one and hand it in as well. Why does this bear any significance to leveling Viper or Pictomancer, you might ask? The significance comes from the fact that handing in a journal gives you 50% of a level on whatever job you have currently equipped. This means that the week before Dawntrail releases, or a week before the early access period of course, you could pick up a journal, do 9 tasks on it, and just keep it around until release. Unlock Viper or Pictomancer, hand in journal, grab another journal, do 9 tasks quickly on that one, and hand it in. And now you have a level 81 Viper or Pictomancer, allowing you to queue for Tower of Zod. A bonus tip here is that you may want to preserve as many second chances as you can for the second journal, so that you can finish the journal very easily and quickly by doing, I don't know, Ultima Weapon Extreme 9 times in a row. While we are on the subject of preparing XP in this way, it is probably worth noting that tribe quests take note of which job you picked them up with, so it is not possible to stockpile these for Viper or Pictomancer. However, you can stockpile these to boost an existing job towards level 91. Another extra thing you can do as Dawntrail draws closer is to accumulate as many tomestones of Predix as you can. Why would that be? Once Dawntrail has released, there will almost certainly be Crypt Lurker weapons for Viper and Pictomancer, and these will cost 600 Predix each. Similarly, we can probably assume there will be augmented Credendum Viper and Pictomancer weapons, and these will also cost 600 Predix each. Naturally, you would only really need 1200 Predix for a Crypt Lurker weapon for each, and you can always accumulate more Predix on the way to 90. But already having those Predix may be nice so you don't have to plan around that. Now, one final thing to keep in mind when Dawntrail comes out is that if you want to level Pictomancer and Viper day 1, just remember that you are certainly not the only one. That is to say, your best option to actually do that is to use methods that don't rely on regular light parties like dungeon spamming, at least not under normal circumstances. If you can convince 3 friends to make a pre-made, that could work. Alternatively, you could use duty support to run the duties. You could also use other leveling methods like tribe quests, hunts, or Boja. You could also use this as an opportunity to finish up some shared fates in Shadowbringers and Endwalker. And again, I am almost certain you won't be the only one. Finally for this section, some of you might be saying, but wait Kai, what about Beastmaster? Unfortunately, or fortunately depending on who you ask, Beastmaster is coming out later in the expansion, and we don't even know what level it starts on, or what gear it has, so not much we can do here. Section 3.
Raiders Roll.
Some of you might be really mostly interested in how to prepare for Savage Raiding. The unfortunate reality here is that there isn't actually that much you can do. Sure, leveling up your job so you're ready at the start line when the expansion releases would be helpful, but the normal raid tier is likely going to release at least around a week after the expansion, so no need to rush there. The Savage raid tier is likely to come out at least 1 week after that, and the items you'd actually want to prepare for the Savage raid simply won't be available until that first normal raid tier releases. The crafted gear set, tinctures, burst potions, new fresh buff food, all that good stuff becomes available when the normal raid tier releases. That is to say, that one key way you can prepare yourself if you really want to Savage raid, in terms of your character, is to accumulate gil, so you can afford all these things. Materia will also be something you may need, but we will almost certainly find grade 11 and 12 materia in Dawntrail, which is what you will need. Again, cold hard gil is what you need here. You could of course level your own crafters and gatherers to make your equipment and supplies, but that is, again, something you can mostly only do when the expansion is out, with 2 exceptions. You can pick up 16 live quests to hand in on release day for some quick crafter or gatherer XP right out the gate. You could also have an inventory filled with collectible items to hand in for some more immediate XP. Just keep in mind that once a crafter levels to 91, all prior live quests and collectibles will only be worth 1000 XP each. This also applies to gatherer collectibles, but apparently not leve quests. As such, it may be preferable to prioritize gatherers with leve quests and use collectibles for crafters to gain that one quick level right at the start. Part of the reason why a potential Savage Raider might not want to do these things though, is that in the first week or few weeks of Dawntrail, you will have access to two extremes. One which drops weapons and one which drops accessories typically. And you will probably want to farm both of those. It is unlikely it will fill your entire calendar to do this, but it is important to keep in mind that Gil can save you time in this time frame where you're quite limited. Once the normal raid comes out, it also isn't uncommon for raiders to do the same fights until they get the exact tokens for the items they want. For example, if the normal raid chest piece has a good stat line or a significantly better stat line than the crafted one, then it might be worth going for that. The reason it has to be significantly better is because the crafted gear can be pentamelted, which some players will be able to afford to do. It will probably be very expensive right at launch of Dawntrail. Also, take note that you will probably be able to afford like one weekly tombstone item in time for the Savage Raid tier to open. One much more important thing to consider if you want to Savage Raid right at the start of Dawntrail is that right now may not be the greatest of times to look for a static, but it certainly isn't the worst either. If you can go into Dawntrail where you already know who you're raiding with, you can probably get a lot further quicker. Why is right now not the best time? There is a very high chance that a significant portion of the better raiders are taking a break from the game right now. And a lot of newer groups might look a lot better than they really are because they're getting carried by the massive item level and echo advantage presently available. They might not be as good when these advantages are not available at the start of Dawntrail, and will then have to learn to work around that. The reason this matters is that the appearance of such a sudden additional difficulty spike can sometimes kill off a static before it really takes flight. Now, why is this not the worst time to look for a static? Because when Dawntrail comes out, many of those groups that are taking breaks now will already be full anyway, so that is to say, it might be your best option to find a group sooner rather than later. If you prefer to do all this through Party Finder, you can of course just skip this step of preparation. And finally, section 4. Extra prep. Similar to how you could collect as much awesome gear for Viper and Pictomancer as possible for level 90 to push on faster and further, you could do that with your designated main job right now. Just farming tombstones and alliance raids can get you mostly a full set of I-660 gear. But you will have to beat P9S at least to get both rings at I-660. Furthermore, some jobs have terrible stat lines on the tombstone gear, so you could become a bit stronger by Savage Raiding. However, that is obviously an extremely excessive amount of preparation, right? Another thing you can do, regardless of what kind of content you're interested in, is level as many jobs as you can so they're all ready for Dawntrail if you so desire. And while you do so, you could level your trusts. Why on earth would I do that? It is possible the trusts will be able to clear dungeons slightly faster than duty support. I doubt it, but still. And if you want to level Viper or Pictomancer through this path, that would be significant. Also, you get a fancy title if you max out your trusts. That surely has to count for something, right? Right? So, do you yourself have any tips or suggestions to share for preparing for Dawntrail? Anything you have noticed others have missed, or maybe something you think might be useful for preparing, but don't know for sure and would like a second opinion? Do let me know in the comments. Now, that is all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you would like to support me and my channel more directly, you can become a member like these wonderful people here. You can also alternatively support me through Ko-Fi, link in the description. You can also support the channel by letting the YouTube algorithm know by liking the video, leaving a comment, subscribing, sharing, and hitting the bell to get notified when next I post a video. Fun fact, originally Endwalker was delayed 2 weeks to December 7th. The first raid tier's normal version was released exactly 2 weeks later. The Savage raid tier released 2 weeks after that. The reason why it was released 2 weeks later after that is probably because if it was only 1 week, it would have been released just before New Year.